Yo, what's happening? Alright, my name's OT. This is going to be my first YouTube video of this type. A couple things I want to talk about is, I'm going to say it, I don't know if America's the greatest country in the world. But I do know that there's no other country in the world that I can think of that has enough incentive for me to rather be there. So, that being said, there's a lot of things we can do to make our country better, but I think we're going about it the wrong way as a whole, as a people. And as a people, I don't mean specific races and things like that. I'm talking about us as Americans. Race, I think I'm going to do a different video on. What I want to talk about is politics, because that's what everything leads up to. It seems like almost anything you do now somehow gets wrapped up in politics. So I'm not going to say whether I'm right or left. In fact, I'm going to say I'm neither right or left. I don't go that route. I find out what I agree with, and I agree with it. I don't find out who I agree with and just ride their coattails. And that's not the way I think anyone should do. So a couple things I think Democrats, for example, we'll start with them. Most of the people I talk to that say they're Democrats, they only say that because they've been told to say that, or like I said, they're riding someone's coattails. But at the same time, you ask them about the government, and they hate the government. But they don't understand, or if they do understand, they don't act like it, or they try to ignore it, that Democrats essentially want more powerful government. So you can't want both of those. You can't be against the government, but want them to be in control of everything. The Republicans, on the other hand, want a less powerful government, but they want to create laws that really don't have anything to do, in my eyes, with the Constitution. Like, let's say, for example, abortion. So we want less government. We want the government controlling as little of us as possible, but we want the government to control this issue. All right, so in the Constitution, in the preamble, in the beginning of the preamble, it talks about establishing justice, which, as the Republicans say, abortion is murder. I'm not going to say whether I agree or don't agree. But then it also says ensure domestic tranquility. Sorry, I'm driving. There's a lot of traffic. So now the thing about that is none of the things that are major issues in politics are just simple answers. You can't just say, hey, can I have an abortion? And then say why, and then say, oh, just because it's bad or just because it's good. You got to break it down more than that. You can make anything you want to sound good or bad. You can make murder sound good if you wanted to. I mean, you talk about war is murdering and kill, like, you could talk about a lot of stuff. But abortion, yeah, I mean, you could look at it as it's murdering a human being, so it should be outlawed. I read a book not too long ago. I think the name of it was Freakonomics or Think Like a Freak. Same authors. It doesn't really matter the name of the book. Yeah, it does actually. But they talk about abortion. They don't talk about abortion. They talk about crime rates, and they break it down, like why crime rates dropped. And they found out that essentially, through their research, the only thing that made sense was crime rate dropped because of Roe v. Wade. They said, like, the average age of a person that committed crimes back, 17, 18 years ago was 17, 18 years old. And since they passed Roe v. Wade 17 or 18 years later, crime just started dropping because people that couldn't afford to have kids and raise their kids and be good parents ended up not having as many kids in those areas where they couldn't afford it. Essentially creating less kids with that little of supervision, if that makes sense. So I think everything we need to go into needs to be broken down like that. I'm not saying that's the end all be all, because that can still probably be broken down more. But that's just one example that I think we need to go off of. like I said, I won't say whether I'm right or left or center. I don't think I'm any of those. What I'd say I am is I'm a gradualist. You can't go off these big debates and say, like, now abortion's legal for the most part, and then just say we can't do abortions anymore, because that's just going to shock everyone, and no one wants that. What we need to do is eventually and gradually work towards a common goal, or a goal that actually makes sense. A lot of people want to force religion on us, especially on the right side, actually, and they want to say that that religion, I feel this way because this is the way my religion taught me. Now, I agree with it. Regardless of what religion I am, I think religion should be taught. And honestly, depending on what they're teaching in the religion and how they're teaching it. But general human decency rules should be applied, or should be taught, in my opinion. But at the same time, that shouldn't be controlled by the government. Like I said, race is going to be a different topic. This is just what I wanted to talk about today. We need to work towards things gradually, things that make sense, not just to create shock, or not just because we believe something. If we find something is right, then let's start working towards that. We can't change everything right off the bat, because essentially the systems that we have set up aren't going to be able to deal with them right off the bat. That's all really I got for now. All right, y'all. Peace out.